This is great. This is great. This is one of my all-time favorite people. Mystery caller, thank you for calling us. I am really excited to see if Matt can guess who you are.
Are you Alvin Davis?
Davis.
He's not Alvin Davis.
No.
Okay, mystery caller, are you a current player?
Player.
Retired player, I think you said.
Yeah.
Mystery caller, were you ever teammates with Harold?
Was a teammate of Harold's at one point, yes.
That's Larkin.
How do you know that?
I'm good at voices, dude. How many times have I told you, Lark?
No way.
What's up, Hall of Famer?
Hey, there was no way, because I was going to call him Matty V, there was no way in the world he wasn't going to know who this is.
Oh, man, it's good to see you, Lark. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, buddy. How you doing?
We're
Good.
great. It's good
so
to
hold
see
on,
you.
before you jump the shark.
Okay.
I called Barry yesterday because we played together in Japan. Oh. And so with the Japan series going on, I want to talk to him about that, and then we're going to dive into all that he's doing now. But Barry, I want to take you back. We pulled up video, everything. Now let me tell you the story as we roll some video here, and then I'll let Barry jump in. So Matt, back in the day, we didn't have interleague play. So you only saw guys occasionally during the All-Star game, right? And so the first time I see Barry Larkin, we played for 10 days, he went off. He was like the greatest player I ever saw in my life, and from that day on, I'm like, this dude's a Hall of Famer, man. He was a freaking stud.
Because back then, you guys didn't see one another. A lot different leagues, no interleague play.
I never saw him in spring training.
There's a lot of mystery behind an AL versus NL talent.
Yep. So it was quite the trip, but watching Barry just go off, he was MVP, tore it up, he just led the team. It was amazing. He flew, he could hit, he had power. I'm like, holy smokes, who is this guy?
Lark, was Harold shaking hands and kissing babies back then the way he does now? Was it the same Harold in Japan?
No, it was about getting the work in and putting it on the field. It was good. We had a good time. Actually, I got a chance to play more than everybody else because Alan Trammell was the other shortstop that came on that trip. And on our flight over to Japan, he told me, hey, young fella, I got a little hamstring or something going on right here. You might have to pick me up. And I'm like, okay, great. I want to play all the time. So I think I was the only guy that got an opportunity to play all the time. And as H said, I had a really good tournament, ended up winning the MVP. And yeah, it was a good time. It was great.
Look at those numbers.
Dude, 10 for 18. That's like Billy Hatcher in the World Series, Lark.
Exactly. I was on fire. It was a good time right there.
Was this kind of where because you've done a lot since you retired to grow baseball internationally in places like Brazil and Qatar. You are all over the planet. Is this kind of where that started, your Japan experience?
I don't think I thought about it like that at that time. But there has always been this international interest from myself to expand the game of baseball. After I retired, it was a matter of starting to work with the European academies, Major League Baseball, just to spread the love and globalize the sport. Eventually, it led to Brazil. Now we're over in Dubai. So there's always been this international flavor that I've had.
And Barry, you've always been an ambassador too. What was the group that you had of players across the board? I can't remember what it was called. Something Dream?
Well, right now?
No, way back when we were playing, you had a group of players. What was that called?
It was called the Caring Team of Athletes. And it was a program that started in Cincinnati because I wanted to figure out a way for me to use my platform to make like a difference for kids. We chose the children of the working poor. We worked with Community Mutual Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's not a plug. And we worked to create dollars for children of the working poor to apply for, parents obviously to apply for these dollars so that we can make a significant difference. And then we did that in Cincinnati. I called up Sandy Alomar in Cleveland. We did it in Cincinnati and Cleveland the next day. And then I went to Judy Heater and everyone at the Players Association. And when we did it, Harold, I think you were on that team.
Yeah, I was on that team. Yep.
Yeah, we did it, and we raised collectively over $4 million for the children of the working poor. It was called the Caring Team of Athletes. Yeah, it was an amazing program.
That's pretty cool, man. That was Lark doing his thing. So, Barry, let's talk about growing up in Cincinnati and playing for your hometown team and now seeing where the Reds are and you're still active. That's almost like a dream life, right? What do you remember as a kid watching the Reds play?
Yeah, growing up in Cincinnati, it was all about the Cincinnati Reds and, Pete Rose and Johnny Bench and Joe Morgan, Tony Perez, my favorite, Davey Concepcion, Ken Griffey Sr. The guys were just amazing, and they dominated in the 70s. And every kid growing up that was a baseball fan wanted to be one of those guys. If I came back inside after playing baseball outside and I didn't have grass stains on the top of my pants, then I didn't do enough Pete Rose slides. And I'm telling you, we honestly were out there thinking, when I get a chance to slide, I am definitely doing that head first crazy jump slide. And, that's just how it was. And so I was kind of a baseball fan, but I was more of a football fan at the time. I went to University of Michigan with the idea that I was going to play football. And I didn't go to Ohio State because I didn't get recruited, for all the Ohio people that are listening. That kind of upset me, but that it was what it was. Um, so I went up there with the idea that I was going to just play football and baseball. Eventually, I got redshirted, just had to play baseball, and it worked out quite well. So, um, just growing up in Cincinnati, just thinking about being a Cincinnati Red after I decided that was going to be my path, to then get the opportunity to meet some of my childhood idols and play with them. And then to be able to play my entire career in the city. And then one of the reasons I wanted to stay there is because my parents, specifically my dad, came to every single baseball game that we had. And, there were some opportunities for me to leave and go elsewhere. But in retrospect, I'm very happy that I stayed in Cincinnati, because I didn't want to take away that experience for him nor the family. And now to be associated with the organization, and being able to work with the likes of Ellie De La Cruz and Matt McClain, and be able to mentor some of the guys that have come through this organization. It has been an absolutely amazing ride, and I'm just very appreciative of the opportunity.
Yeah, hey, Barry, talk to us about Ellie, because you watch him almost every day. You've worked with him as an instructor. What are we missing on him? I mean, it feels like the ceiling can't possibly be high enough because the talent is off the charts.
The talent is off the chart. I see him do stuff every day, and it's just like, my goodness, this guy. I think the most athletic guy that I had a chance to play with every single day wore the same number. It was Eric Davis. And Eric Davis did some phenomenal things because he had the space out in center field to move and maneuver. You normally see that when you have a lot of green space under your feet. You don't see that kind of athleticism normally on the infield. And if you do see that type of athleticism, it's in very short bursts, and it normally stays on the dirt. This guy, his range is just ridiculous what he's capable of doing. Obviously he is incredibly gifted, like physically, just crazy, but his baseball IQ is off the absolute charts. It's amazing how he sees and anticipates the game. He's obviously, he makes some mistakes here, but it's because genuinely he sees things before they happen and anticipates and puts himself in great position. He is really an amazing talent. And you're right, Manny, the ceiling can't be high enough because there's no telling what he's capable of doing.
Sounds like a young Barry Larkin to me.
No, it's totally different. totally different dude, man. This guy, he is amazing talent, and a humble young man. I love that.
That's high praise coming from this dude.
Yeah,
to hear that, that's amazing. We're blessed.
Hey, Lark, thanks for the call, man. It's great seeing your face, good hearing your voice, and hopefully we get to see you during the season in Cincinnati or out on the road.
Sounds good, man. Thanks for having me.
All the fame.
Appreciate you, Lark. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, hey, thanks.
All right, man.
So some news mid-March, JP Morosi. Amid all the injury news, we need some good news leading the league in information. Good morning to you. When I turned on 30 Clubs in 15 days, I saw Jake Peavy talking with Gunnar Henderson and him talking about how he's almost healthy. Does Brandon Hyde rely on him for opening day? What's the timeline? Good morning.
Lauren, good morning. There is still a chance for Gunnar Henderson to get back and be part of the Orioles opening day lineup, but time is short because he continues to deal with an intercostal strain that has recently held him out of game action. Here's a look at Grayson Rodriguez as well. There's been some talk about when potentially Henderson can come back. The idea right now, and that's sort of when this issue first occurred, as he strained his intercostal there, making that play at shortstop. He has been taking some swings in a cage. He's been able to get some ground balls there with the intercostal strain. But at the moment in time, Lauren, it's still TBD on whether or not he's able to come back and be there in the opening day lineup. Also, Jorge Mateo notably coming back from last year's injury. He may also be able to come back by the end part of this month or early next. But this is a key question for a team that is hoping to be able to make it back to the playoffs. Of course, no Corbin Burns. He is now a Diamondback. And you consider as well the issues with Grayson Rodriguez and his injury, and then, of course, Kittredge as well. So the Orioles have had somewhat of an injury-plagued spring. We've talked a lot about the Yankees and their injuries. But I would say this, that it's hard to think of a more important player to the Orioles than Gunnar Henderson. And again, he is very much uncertain for opening day at this stage.
And can't afford a setback, so take your time, I guess, is the reasoning. Burns a Diamondback, you said it. We spoke with Torey Lovello the very first day of spring training, and he talked about how he has decisions to make. At the top of the list, closer. Who's closing out games for Arizona? Who's on the list?
Lauren, still an open competition right now for the Diamondbacks, and I would say it's under the category of good problems to have, because they could trust any one of these three to be able to close games for them. A.J. Puck, Justin Martinez, Kevin Ginkel, who has thrived in a setup role for the D-backs over the last couple of years. And look at those numbers that A.J. Puck has put up since he made the move to the D-backs in that trade from the Marlins. A really effective pitcher, of course, from the left side. So that's really a really encouraging decision for the Diamondbacks to make. Now, Jordan Montgomery, one more name to watch carefully with the D-backs here. His next start, according to Steve Gilbert of MLB.com, is going to come on the backfields today. So Montgomery is someone who, of course, he had a tough first year with the Diamondbacks. His most recent outing in the Cactus League was not very good. And Montgomery trying to find a way just to simplify things and get back to being the all-star caliber pitcher that he's been in the past. And the Diamondbacks believe the best way for him to do so is to potentially start on a backfield today and just try to get himself back into rhythm. As I mentioned, Corbin Burns no longer an Oriole. He is a Diamondback, so they do have some more support in the rotation right now for Montgomery to work his way back. But the D-backs believing that he could potentially take a step forward by taking a step back and having today's outing be on the backfields there in the Cactus League.
That's so interesting, because if you listen to New Yorkers, they want him back in the Yankees rotation. A different role in Arizona, perhaps. It's a closer for Arizona. It is a fifth starter for the Angels. What will Ron Washington's rotation look like this year, JP?
Lauren, I like the Angels pitching depth. I think they're a team that has been a bit overlooked in the American League West. I look at the fact they brought in Kikuchi, who has been somewhat limited in terms of his major league spring training game workload to this point in time. But Hendricks has pitched really well. Soriano and Anderson, their spring numbers have been a little bit up and down. But I see a pathway for Detmers and Kohanowitz in particular to be able to step into that fifth starter role and really give Ron Washington some depth there at the back end of the Angels rotation. Kohanowitz, there you see his stuff. It's played up this spring. I've been really impressed by what he's been able to do. He's been able to get stretched out. He's had some pretty good outings. Looking pretty efficient there is Kohanowitz. Look at that nice four-seam action movement up and away there. And then Detmers, of course, we saw him throw a no-hitter in the major leagues, a bit of an up-and-down year. He's come in this year in really good shape. I like what Detmers can offer, of course, the former Louisville Cardinal. So this is a really up-and-coming rotation, I believe, from the standpoint of the Angels. We talk about the Mariners with their concerns having Kirby on the IL to begin the year. Do not be surprised that the Angels, newly fortified with Trout back in the everyday lineup, now having Detmers and Kohanowitz in the fifth spot, potentially one of the other. I like their starting depth. That's a team to watch this season.
And Matty has a front row seat. He always talks about Neto and Ohapi, a lot of pieces to like in Anaheim to build on. All offseason long, JP, you have invited us into your conversations with Hall of Famers, your Road to Cooperstown podcast. Joe Mauer, the latest conversation. How cool. What were your discussions like?
Yes, Lauren. Well, first of all, thanks to you and everybody at Hot Stove for allowing me to have these conversations during the course of the offseason, the Road to Cooperstown. It is our final Road to Cooperstown show of this Hot Stove season, and Joe Mauer is our focus today. And Lauren, I love this about Joe Mauer. He's the first millennial Hall of Famer. He's one of us. And so I asked on our Road to Cooperstown conversation with Joe Mauer what he considers to be some of his roles as the youngest of all the Hall of Famers and how he takes that mantle now going forward.
Number one, I'm so thankful to be a part of it, and just humbled by it, and just eager to do whatever I can to help. But also too, I'm very respectful of those who came before me and the things that they're doing, and just have so much respect for and not only the members but the people there that make it happen. I mean, at the top of the list, Jane Forrest Clark and her family, what they've done to preserve our game and to share those stories and the people and that make this game great. It really is just an unbelievable place. And, Josh Rawitch, the president, and, Shestak Kasi. I mean, there's so many people that make it great and make those experiences for families day in and day out. So if I can help in any way, that's great. I am looking forward to going back next summer and welcoming the inductees the way that I was welcomed with our class this year. I was just blown away. The members, obviously the employees at the museum, the city of Cooperstown, just the surrounding. I mean, it's an unbelievable atmosphere and very family like oriented and just a special place. And I would encourage people to go. It is something to see. And if you're a baseball fan, it's definitely a bucket list item for sure.
Well,
Of the game, and I love what Joe said about what the institution means and how by bringing new people in, how we're able to then share the story of the game and inspire the dreams of the next generation. So Joe, who's a father to young kids, and his ability to then, and actually he's also a baseball coach, which I love, coaching baseball there in the Twin Cities too, that he has the ability to then shape this institution for generations to come. So Joe Mauer, what a great Hall of Famer, someone who has a great perspective on what the Hall of Fame can be, and certainly encourage you to listen to the Road to Cooperstown podcast with Joe Mauer and all of our Hall of Famers. And again, season 2, Lauren, is coming up. We're already taping our episodes, getting things ready for the new year, so we can't wait to share those episodes during the course of the season ahead.
From St. Paul, Minnesota, hometown kid. How cool is your job, JP? Thanks for sharing all off season long.